Paranormal in Pennsylvania may discuss topics such as suicide, murder, and other potentially upsetting things. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, and welcome to Paranormal in Pennsylvania,
where we discuss history and hauntings.
Today's story takes us to a town that's literally on fire. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Erica.
Let's get into it. We are finally covering Centralia.
Oh my gosh, when you said that, I was like, that is not what I was expecting the tagline of this episode to be.
Yeah, yeah. It has been highly requested. We get this request all the time. And I don't know about you, but I feel like growing up in Pennsylvania, people used to talk about Centralia all the time.
I never heard of it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, even now, I think I know what we're about to talk about, but I still don't know if it's the exact thing I'm talking about.
I am flabbergasted. People, like, as soon as they could get their license, people were like, ooh, let's go to Centralia. So edgy.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was, like, too far west. Again, not really sure if what I'm thinking of is correct. But, yeah, no, I never heard of it until we started doing this podcast.
Wow. Well, here we go then. Get ready. Buckle up. So Centralia was founded in 1866 and is located in Columbia County, Pennsylvania. The town was known for its mines, and in the 1800s, skewing more towards the late 1800s, it became really prosperous. It had multiple theaters, it had tons of stores, it had 14 grocery or general stores. So it was very prosperous. 14,
that's a lot.
Right, and 2 theaters. I mean, how many theaters do you need?
That's true. There were not a lot of people back then.
Right. So this town was it. And like I said, it was a mining town. Speed ahead to the 1960s. In the 1960s, there was this area that had been used as a dump, and it was quickly filling up. So the town thought, what could we do? Let's set it on fire. Now, mining town, setting a dump on fire. Turns out it's not a good match.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
So what happened was it set the town on fire because underneath where the trash was are like the mines and stuff. So underneath Centralia started burning.
Oh my goodness. I guess that makes sense because, if you've got these mines, there's a very small layer of ground between the top and the mines.
Right.
Assumedly.
And it only takes one spark.
Right.
And then it has so much fuel down there. The interesting part to me, and I'm no scientist and we don't need to get into it, but it's the oxygen aspect. Because how is the fire oxygenated enough to continue burning? You think that it would just eventually burn through stuff?
Yeah.
But I guess if it's open and it's a mine.
I guess you're right. The openness probably is what caused it to keep going because, at some point you'd think it would extinguish.
Yeah. And this caused a lot of issues like sinkholes opening up, which is, I guess, another way that it's getting oxygen. But these sinkholes would open up because the ground would become so weak because everything beneath it was burning.
Right.
And this resulted in tons of tragedies. One of them was a 12-year-old girl fell 150 feet down into a sinkhole, and she luckily survived.
Oh, that's good.
But this kind of set the town in motion of they'd kind of had enough, and
they hadn't already had enough.
Nope, they didn't. People still lived there. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, once you have 1 or 2 sinkholes, I feel like it's like, okay, we got to figure out a solution. I mean, I am glad that the girl survived, and then I'm glad that they're about to take whatever action you're about to talk about. But, that seems like a very extreme event for it to have finally caused them to realize they had to do something.
Yeah, it shouldn't need to go that far.
Right.
I agree. When the temperature was measured of the fire, it allegedly was noted to be 900 degrees Fahrenheit, which just sounds like not even a real temperature to me.
No, yeah, agreed.
And allegedly, if the fire is left to continue burning, it will continue burning for centuries because of all the fuel that's down there. And so I'm like, is it just going to burn up Pennsylvania? Like, is this how the world ends?
It starts in Centralia.
Yeah.
All the fire believers were correct.
Right, exactly. But in 1984, Pennsylvania actually decided to step in. and they offered people money to buy their homes so that they could evacuate Centralia.
Well, that's good, because this is like the Hinkley Well. It was a whole town that was living on this reserve, I want to say is the word, and I think it was like Hinkley. My gosh, I cannot remember the company name, so this is all just going to be general. But they were putting chemicals into the water and telling the townspeople that it was fine, but it wasn't. And so they started getting cancer and tumors and all these other things. It's the plot of like Aaron Brockovich.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like that happened, but then unfortunately no one really came to rescue them. So people couldn't sell their homes because who's going to buy it?
Yeah, no one wants to live there. Yeah, so it isn't, I guess, nice in this case that the state is stepping in. But that wasn't enough because people still didn't want to leave. So again, in 1992, so this is like 30-ish years after the fire started and another 8 years after they first stepped in. In 92, they decide, no, we're taking your homes. And they used eminent domain so that they could condemn the buildings and force people to leave Centralia.
And I get why they did that, because they probably needed to, but that is really sad for the people who lived there. I mean, at that point, it's like, I feel like people had to know, like, it's time to leave.
Well, see, I get it and I don't. I understand offering to buy the houses, maybe make it a standing offer so that, you know, when someone's parents die and they inherit the home, the state will buy it.
Yeah.
But let people live there if they want to. I mean, who cares? It's their life.
Right. That's a fair point.
They want to live in a town on fire, let them do it.
Right. And then they are becoming unhomed. I mean, like, okay, so they force people out. Did they provide a solution? Because that's also, I think, a major part of this is like, did you give them money to buy a new home or to stay in an apartment or anything? Or did you just kick them out and say, good luck?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, actually. But many people obviously had to leave then. And as of 2013, only 8 people still lived in Centralia.
How did 8 people stay?
I think they moved out and moved back.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think that's how they did it. Why? I absolutely have no idea.
I know, like, once you're out,
yeah,
maybe get out. Yeah.
But left behind were things like churches and cemeteries. So the bodies of loved ones were still left.
Which, that's really sad. Because then, especially if you know that it's a dangerous place to go, then people probably aren't visiting the cemetery either. So not only are you not able to be around your loved ones anymore, but you probably aren't going to see them.
Right. And I do worry about the bodies burning up.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know anything about the physics of that. I don't know how deep the fire is, etc. But I think with sinkholes popping up, that would be a very real fear. It would make me want to excavate the bones of a loved one and exhume rather, and take them.
Right. Because, you know, at some point, is there just going to be nothing left?
Yeah. One of the most notable sites in Centralia is Graffiti Highway. And this is why I think in high school people were like, oh, let's go to Centralia, because it's old Route 61 and it's just got tons of graffiti over it and it's all like bumpy and stuff from the sinkholes. Allegedly, most of the flames around that area are not burning anymore, so you're pretty safe to go near it.
Gotcha.
I think, but yeah, this Graffiti Highway is like the thing in Centralia.
Well, that's kind of cool that people have like created art on top of this.
Yeah, and it's very like post-apocalyptic feeling.
Oh, see, now that's cool.
Yeah.
That would be kind of a cool vibe to feel.
Another cool thing, fun fact, Centralia was the inspiration for the video game Silent Hill, which then went on to become a movie series.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's cool.
Silent Hill is in the game in West Virginia.
Yeah.
But it, like the creator said, it was inspired by Centralia.
That's cool.
Yeah. So we've already established that this is a, quote, ghost town because it's abandoned. It's very creepy. It has this fire, etc. Now the paranormal story.
Oh my God, I thought we were already in the paranormal story.
No. But I really expected this place to be haunted up and down.
Yeah.
With all of the traumatic stuff, everything. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have so much for hauntings. It's actually not that much, which is surprising because listeners recommended it to us. So here are the few paranormal things that I have. People say that the area is haunted maybe by animals that died there. I think it's challenging to be sure if something is a ghost animal or not, but one person described that deer often fall into these sinkholes, so they think that the ghosts of deer haunt the area.
Well, that's kind of interesting. I've never really thought about animals that aren't like pets or something significant to a person haunting a place, which I guess is just like a lapse in my thinking, you know what I mean? But yeah, I was about to ask you, like, do you mean like raccoons and deer, like just squirrels, you know, hanging around the site? So that's kind of cool.
Right, but I wonder how people know that they're ghosts. Like, do they look different, etc.? Is this just someone guessing that there's probably that haunting there? I'd be interested to know a little bit more about it.
Right. Also, I don't know if it's maybe like they're hearing auditory sounds of what sounds like an animal rustling, but then if they go check it out, like there's nothing there, which like could be paranormal, but also could just be an animal running.
Yeah.
Because they're pretty fast.
Yeah, definitely. The most paranormal thing that I could find, other than like the animal ghosts, is that people think that this might actually be a portal to hell or an opening to hell, or that the town is cursed and that's why it's on fire.
I see where people would get that from. I think, you know what I mean? Just like anything on fire, I think can be sort of attributed to hell by society, I guess is a way to put that. But I don't know. I like the idea of a portal. Not to hell, but I like the idea of a portal.
I was like, whoa.
I want a direct line. No,
Erica, she's like, all right, I'm gonna head out. Centralia.
Yeah, I'm ready to go down the graffiti road to hell. But no, I like the idea of a portal because I like the idea of magic worlds. That's it.
Okay,
so
I'm
this
with
is
you.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I like that, but I don't like that it's to hell.
Yeah. And I just don't know if I believe those as paranormal stories because we know the cause of the fire. Like, logically, it makes sense. They set fire to their dump. It is a mining town. There are mines underground. So the mines caught on fire and the fire spread. And now it's underneath the whole town. That just makes sense. I don't think it needs to be a curse.
Yes, I completely agree. I can almost hear Zach in my head, like, trying to explain the chemical, like, the chemical happenings.
Just his voice being like, it's paranormal in Pennsylvania.
But no, I completely agree. I think it is just like a chemical reaction and it's spread, unfortunately, and it's led to all of these things. If there was going to be anything paranormal here that would really spark to me as paranormal, it would be people who got misplaced spirit there. That would kind of make more sense to me than animals or a portal. But if that's not a report, then it's kind of like, I don't know. These are almost like theories. They're not really like paranormal happenings. You know what I mean?
Right. And the other theory that I came across is that the town is haunted. It's just haunted by shadow figures, and no one wants to say they're shadow figures because of the flames and the lights playing tricks. So again, these feel kind of like reaches.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think, we talked about in the cave, shadow figures being present. And if you can see them there, you should be able to see them in broad daylight or in like even at night in this town.
So knowing what you know about Centralia, 1, do you think it's haunted? And 2, would you visit?
I don't know that it's haunted specifically. I think a lot of tragedy happened there, and it would be cool for us to take our equipment. So I don't want to say no, like it's not haunted, but based on the evidence that we're talking about, or even just like the descriptions that we're talking about, I don't necessarily think it is. However, I still want to go because I just think it's an interesting place. I do like the apocalyptic vibe. I think that would be a really interesting thing to go to. I also think it would be important to keep in mind all of the displacement when you're there, just as you're walking through. And I mean, I don't know how close you can even get. I don't know if you can get that far without it being dangerous. But yeah, I'd go to a point where it's not dangerous.
Yeah, I agree. I obviously wouldn't stay overnight. I think I would be very nervous that a sinkhole was going to happen. but I think it could be cool to do an investigation here, and I want to see Graffiti Highway, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah. So that's the story of Centralia, and this was really highly recommended by listeners. I don't know if it's just because it's an eerie place and people think it's haunted, or maybe I'm completely missing something. So if there are hauntings of Centralia that we missed, be sure to let us know in the comments. You can email us at paranormalinpennsylvania@gmail.com. And if there's a place you want us to cover, you can also reach out to us and we will try our best to cover it. Thank you for tuning in this Thursday. Tune in next Thursday to see what history and hauntings we discover next. Stay spooky, my friends.